Radhe Radhe Govinda Govinda Radhe 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 Govinda Govinda Radhe. Again we meet for reading Saints of Bengal, and today we are starting with a new story about Sri Kedaranatha, or as we know him, Bhaktivinoda Thakura from Navadvip. So Sri Kedaranatha, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, was a descendant of Sri Purushottam Datta, one of the 5 Kayasthas brought to Gaura by King Adishura. So he's his descendant. In the 15th generation from King Adishura was born, from the 15th generation from King Adishura was born Raja Krishnananda Datta, the father of Sri Narottam Das Thakur, and a disciple of Nityananda Prabhu. In the 9th generation from Raja Krishnananda was born Sri Ananda Chandra Datta, who was a great Vaishnava. Ananda Chandra's son was Kedaranatha. His father-in-law was Ishvara Chandra Mustafi, a big landlord of Ula or Viranagar in district Nadia. Kedaranatha was born in Ula. Even when he was 6 years old, he read Ramayana, Mahabharata, etc. with great interest. When he was 9, he began to study astrology from a famous astrologer named Jagat Bhattacharya. At the age of 11, his father died. He had to face poverty and pass through many trials and tribulations. At 12, he was married. Already at 12, he was married. At 13, he moved to Kolkata and got himself enrolled in the Hindu Charitable Institution School, in which he studied for 4 years. During this period, he wrote articles and poems for the Hindu Intelligencer in English language. His writings attracted Keshava Chandra Sen and Dwijendranath Tagore. Dwijendranath Tagore became his close friend. Under his guidance, he learned the Sanskrit language and studied the works of Western philosophers. In 1858, at the age of 20, Kedaranatha was called by his paternal grandfather, Raja Vallabha Datta, who lived in Chotimangalpur in Orissa. Raja Vallabha Datta was a resident of Kolkata, but had gone to Orissa to pass the last days of his life as a devotee in loneliness. He had in his house the Sri Vigrahas of Lord Jagannath and Radha Madhava, whom he worshipped with devotion. He had divine powers and could predict the future. He told Kedaranatha that he would secure a good job at the age of 27 and would be a great Vaishnava. His grandfather soon died. After his death, he visited all the matas in Orissa and kept a record of all that he saw, so all the ashrams, type of ashrams. In 1859, he accepted a teaching post in Cuttack, Orissa, and for the first time introduced the teaching of English in the schools of Orissa. In 1860, he was appointed headmaster of the Bhadra school, and he shifted to Bhadra from Cuttack. At this time, He wrote a book called The Maths of Orissa, which was published in 1860. At the end of the year, he got a teacher's job in Midnapur and shifted there. While in Midnapur, he had to fight vigorously against the Sahajias, a perverted school of the so-called Vaishnavas, who claimed allegiance to Sri Chaitanya, but preached a demonical doctrine totally opposed to his, to Sri Chaitanya's. He also rejected the Brahma Dharma preached by Rama Mohana Roy and others who did not believe in Sri Chaitanya and the Hindu Shastras, and preached against the principles of the age-old Sanatana Dharma. So he rejected Brahma Dharma. In 1866, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, as he was now called, was appointed deputy register in Chapara with powers of deputy magistrate and deputy collector. In 1868, he was appointed deputy magistrate of Dinajapur, but he was soon transferred to Puri. The commissioner of Puri was much impressed by the learning, the religious character, and the administrative capacity of Bhaktivinoda. He entrusted him with the responsibility of managing the affairs of the Jagannath temple on behalf of the government. By his effort, many malpractices in the temple were removed. The service of the deity was improved, and the timings for offering of bhoga to the deity were strictly regular. Bhaktivinoda was also asked to make investigation against a ferocious yogi called Vishakisen, who had declared that he was an incarnation of Mahavishnu and had come down on earth to overthrow the British government and established Hindu Raja in this country. He was a terror to the people because he had mystic powers to cause suffering to them if they did not accept him as an incarnation and behave towards him accordingly. But he had a large following because he also had the power to cure diseases and could easily influence the illiterate and the simple-hearted people. It was not an easy task to curb or mend him. Thakur Bhaktivinoda made necessary investigations and found him guilty on many offenses, including his affairs with women. One day, he pounced upon him in the jungle near Bhuvaneshwara, where he lived. With the police superintendent, so he pounced on him with the police superintendent and a force of 100 armed policemen and arrested him. When he was being tried, he used his yogic power to make Bhaktivinoda's second daughter, Kadambani, fall seriously ill. On the day on which he was going to deliver the judgment, he caused severe pain in his chest so that he might not be able to go to the court. But Thakura remained firm on account of his unflinching faith in the mercy of God, who always protects his devotees. By the mercy of God, no harm came to his daughter, and his pain also vanished just in time for him to go to the court and deliver the judgment. Vishakisen was sentenced to 1.5 years rigorous imprisonment. His associates, who posed as the incarnation of Shiva and Brahma, were similarly punished. Vishakisen died in prison. After 5 years of service in Puri, Thakur Bhaktivinoda was posted at different places in Bengal. In 1878, he was posted at Narail. While in Narail, he took initiation from Sri Vipin Bihari Goswami, a descendant of Sri Vamshi Banananda Goswami, who enjoyed the favor and confidence of Mahaprabhu to such an extent that he was asked by him to look after his mother and wife after he had taken sannyas. In disciplic succession, he belonged to the line coming from Janava Devi, the wife of Prabhu Nityanand. Later, Thakur Bhaktivinoda accepted Jagannath Das Babaji as his Shiksha Guru. So, who of you were following the stories from before? So, all these individuals we mentioned and we read the stories about them. In 1887, Thakura managed to get himself transferred to Srinagar. Then he applied himself to the task of discovering the birthplace of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The place had been under dispute mainly on account of the changing course of the river Ganga. According to the accounts given in the old books relating to the birth of Sri Chaitanya, his place existed to the east of Ganga, but it was difficult to ascertain what was the east or to the west of Ganga at the time of his birth. To Thakur Bhaktivinoda, the site of his birth was revealed in a vision. He writes in his biography that one day, at about 10 p.m., he saw across the Ganga, in the northern direction, a large mansion flooded with light. He confirmed with the help of investigations made by him on the basis of the old manuscripts and maps of Nadia that the site revealed to him was the old Mayapur, the place where Mahaprabhu had appeared. Towards the end of his life, Thakur Bhaktivinoda took Vesh or Vaishnava sannyas from Gaur Kishore Das Babaji and began to practice bhajana in seclusion. Sometimes in his house in Kolkata, sometimes in Kodrumadvip. He departed from this world to enter the Nitya Leela of Radha Krishna in 1914. Thakur Bhaktivinoda's contribution to Gauriya Vaishnava literature is unparalleled. So the following is a list of some of the more important works published or written by him. So here is, let's see how many, like 17 books he wrote, from Sri Krishna Samhita, then Kalyana Kalpataru, and then Bhagavad Gita with the commentary of Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti, then Sri Chaitanya Shikshamrita, then Bhagavad Gita with the commentary of Baladev Vidyabhusana, Vishnu Sahasranama, Sri Krishna Vijaya, then Sri Chaitanya Upanishad, then Amnaya Sutra, then Sharanagati, then Jaiva Dharma, then Tattva Sutra, then we have book Sri Gauranga Smarana Mangala Stotra, Harinama Chintamani, Dutavam Shamala, Sri Bhagavatar Kamarichimala, and Danda Kaustuba. Besides this, Thakur Bhaktivinoda wrote hundreds of sweet songs, each one of which was a sincere outpouring of his heart, overflowing with the nectar of bhakti. It, therefore, easily compares with the songs of the poets like Chandidas and Vidyapati, and inspires bhakti in the heart of anyone who reads or hears it sung. So the following song is cited as an example. So I'll just read English. Oh, when shall I sing aloud the name Gaura Hari? When, forgetting sleep and hunger and all the comforts of body, shall I wander in all humility from village to village in Navadvip Dham and eat madhukari? When shall I sit on the bank of Ganga and drink the water flowing from the feet of the Lord to my heart's content? When shall I lie under a tree in the Dham to gain strength from the Kalpataru and shake of lethargy, so that I may wander from place to place in the Dham, singing aloud the names of Gaura Gadadhar and Radha Madhava, shedding tears of love. When shall I immediately on seeing a Vaishnava fall at his feet, knowing him to be a friend in the heart of my heart, and he will kindly teach me to sing the praises of the Lord? Bhaktivinoda Thakur was probably the first Vaishnava who became restless regarding the fulfillment of Mahaprabhu's prophecy that his name would be preached in every nook and corner of the world, and started working for it. It was towards this end that he revived the Vishwa Vaishnava Raj Sabha, established about 400 years back by Sri Jiva Goswami, and started also publishing Sajana Toshani, a monthly magazine in Bengali, which dealt with subjects relating to the teachings of Mahaprabhu. Also, towards this end, he wrote in English Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his life and precepts, and sent copies of the book to different universities and interested intellectuals in the West. Thus, he securely laid down the foundation of an institution that was to grow with the efforts of his illustrious son, Sri Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada, and his disciple, Sri A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, into the gigantic Kalpataru of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings that continues to spread its branches all over the world. Thakur Bhaktivinoda had to work under numerous limitations. He had important administrative duties to perform. He carried on his shoulders the responsibility of a large family. He had to fight throughout his life against ill health. He had also to fight throughout his life against his opponents in the shape of the pseudo Vaishnavas like the Aula, Baula, Karatabajas, and Sahajias, whom he condemned as a slur on society. The fact that in spite of these limitations, he could accomplish so much by itself shows that he was a Siddha Mahapurusha, who was specially chosen by Mahaprabhu to work for the fulfillment of his prophecy. His writings and songs will continue to inspire people from generation to generation. Radhe. So this was a short story about Bhaktivinoda Thakur or Kedaranatha. It's interesting, actually. I mean, we all read stories from Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and we are inspired by his teachings, definitely. What I like especially about Bhaktivinoda Thakur is his look at the religion and how much he was against sectarianism and how much he was trying to connect all the groups of Vaishnavas, like our Gurudev, similarly. So much accepting. That is so beautiful. I remember one part, what I read, it was how he was talking about other religions. So what if we come to a church, for example? These are his words. How we should think. So Vaishnava should think, oh, this person is worshipping my Lord, but in different form. So I offer my respect and my prayer to the Lord in this form so that I may develop more love to the Lord in the form I'm used to. So this is nice. Look, so in that way, there are no conflicts. My God is better than your God. Of course, this is nonsense. Yeah. So, shall we continue? with the next story? So next story is about Sri Haribol Ananda Thakur from Kolkata, and he was living also in Varanasi. Maybe somebody wants to say something more. Okay. So we are continuing with Haribol Ananda Thakur. It was sometime towards the end of the past century that people saw a curious drama enacted by a Babaji in the crowded Chaurangi market of Kolkata. The Babaji wore a cap made of the castaway leaves on which the prasad of Jagannath had been served, and held a conch shell in his hand. He went about from place to place, blowing the conch shell and shouting, Haribo! Haribo! He held the feet of anyone whom he met and started chanting, Haribol, Haribol, and did not leave him until he said Haribol. He happened to meet a Sahab, or Englishman. He held his feet and shouted, Haribol, Haribol. The Sahab him, but still he clung to his feet and said, Haribol, Haribol. Sahab thought he was mad. He lashed him with his stick. Even then, he did not leave him and continued to shout, Haribol, Haribol. A crowd gathered on the scene. In the meantime, a Bengali came who knew English and said to Sahab, Sir, this man is neither mad nor a beggar. He does not want anything from you. He is a saint. He only wants you to take the name of the Lord. So you say Haribol, and he would let you go. The Sahab then apologized to the man and said, Haribol. And the crowd also shouted, Haribol. The Babaji blew his conch shell as if to proclaim his victory over the Sahab, and went on shouting, Haribol, Haribol. The Babaji was no one else than Navina Chandra Bhattacharya. He was a householder and a teacher in a village school. After leading a life of householder of 40 years, he realized the futility of the world and decided to renounce it. But he did not know what to do and where to go in order to attain permanent peace and happiness. In utter despondency, he ran to the temple of Ma Kali of Kalighat in Kolkata. He lay before the temple for a number of days without food and drink, in the hope that the goddess would tell him what he should do. At the end, the goddess asked him in a dream to go on pilgrimage to all the holy places of the country on foot. In obedience to the goddess, he went on foot to all the holy places, one by one, without any money or support from anyone, sometimes eating what he got in Viksha and sometimes fasting. It took him several years to go to all the places, and he had to undergo many trials and tribulations on the way, but he did not find peace anywhere. Then again he went to Mother Kali and expressed his grief. This time the goddess was pleased to give him darshana in person and say, My son, in this age of Kali, Harinama alone is true and fruitful. It is the only means for the attainment of the Lord. You always chant Haribol, Nama mantra, and fall at the feet of anyone you meet and ask him to chant Haribol. Since then, every day, he went on foot from his home in Bagh Bazar to Kalighat for the darshana of Ma, and asked whomsoever he met on the way holding his feet with both of his hands to say Haribo. Therefore, people began to call him Haribol Ananda Thakur. By constantly chanting Haribol, Haribol Ananda Thakur's mind, body, and soul became one with Haribol, and he used to say to people, "You take me to the jungle and cut off my head. You will still hear my head chanting Haribol." His Haribol Kirtana was so attractive, so maddening, and intoxicating that men, women, and children who heard him chanting Haribol became automatically drawn to him and started chanting Haribol. The children were particularly drawn to him. He endeared himself to them wherever he went. They did not want to leave him. He also behaved towards them like a child. He played and danced with them and gave them fruits and sweets to eat. They made themselves merry by chanting Haribol with him and dancing as they chanted. Once, when plague was rampant in Kolkata, Haribol Ananda Thakur arranged, with the financial help of his disciple Sri Kshetrapal Malik, for the Kirtana of Haribol in every quarter, street, and even bus or train of Kolkata. But Kshetrapal himself fell prey to the epidemic, and there was no hope for his life. When Haribol Thakur came to know about it, he went to the Kali temple and brought the Charanamrita of Mother Kali. He gave the Charanamrita to the people attending upon Kshetrapal and said, "Give this Charanamrita to Kshetrapal. He will sleep. When he gets up, give him whatever he wants to eat." Immediately after taking the Charanamrita, Kshetrapal went to sleep. He slept for 4 or 5 hours. When he got up, he was very hungry and asked for rice and pulse to eat. He ate and felt as healthy as he was even before. After this episode, Haribol Thakur became famous in Kolkata. Since he shunned fame, he left Kolkata and went to Varanasi and began to live in Ganesh Mohala, near Brahmakunda, in a small ashrama which he built there. Before going to Varanasi, Haribolananda Thakur stayed for some time in a garden of Agarpan near Calcutta. There he adopted a special device for keeping his disciples engaged in Harinam. They had scarcity of land in that area. He asked them to dig earth from the bed of Ganga and pile it on the bank, saying Haribol all the time. They did this, and within a short time, the land space on the bank was extended by 1 bigha. Bigha is equal to 20 katas, and a kata is equal to 720 square feet. So, somebody can count. So, big land. Haribol Thakur had tremendous spiritual power. Once, while the work of extending the beach was going on, one of his disciples said, "Thakur, after doing manual work throughout the day, I now feel very hungry. Give me something to eat." Thakur mixed cow dung with the earth of Ganga and gave it to him. As the disciple ate, his eyes gleamed. He said with great surprise, "Oh, I never enjoyed such a heavenly taste." Haribol Thakur used to say to his disciples, "I am a Raja because I can live by eating the clay of Ganga." He had one special power. according to which he gave his disciples the names of companions of Mahaprabhu, such as Nitai, Advaita, Gadadhar, Shrivas, and charged them with the bhava of the companion whose name he gave. He could at will give prema to his disciples and withdraw it. Many people, influenced by his spiritual powers, took initiation from him. Most of them came from the lower classes, such as the barbers, the washermen, the carpenters, the domas, etc. Thakura was very strict with his disciples in the matter of namajapa or kirtan. Even the disciples who had a strong character and observed all the rules of good conduct were chastised by him if they neglected the name. But he overlooked the faults of the disciple who always chanted the name though he came down heavily. But he overlooked the faults of a disciple who always chanted the name, though he came down heavily upon him as well if he committed an offense against a Vaishnava or a devotee. He initiated Sri Haricharan Dada of Uttarpad and gave him the name Gadadhar Haribol. Gadadhar started chanting the name in a loud voice. He chanted so loudly that the entire village could hear him. There was great attraction in his voice. Thakur loved Gadadhar very much. He always overlooked his faults. But once a devotee told him that he had behaved in a highly contemptible manner in his house. Contemptible manner. Immediately he called him and said, "From today, I take away all your bhava bhakti." In a way, he renounced him. From that day, he neither had any bhava bhakti nor any attraction in his works. One of the disciples of Haribolananda Thakur was Sri Vipin Chandra Chattopadhyaya of Makandad. He was a great devotee, and Thakur loved him more than his own self. Thakur visited him frequently. There were trees of coconut and betel nut in his garden. Thakur used to pick the twigs that fell from these trees and deliver them to him for cooking the bhog of his deities. Vipin Babu was so close to Haribolananda and so free with him that he did not hesitate in asking him any question that came to his mind, nor did Haribol Thakur hesitate in answering. They talked for hours about Gaura Lila and Krishna Lila. From the way in which the Thakur answered all kinds of questions relating to Gaura Lila, it appeared as if he had observed it directly or had participated in it. This raised a doubt in the mind of Vipin Babu regarding his identity. One day, when Vipin Babu was posted in Ravjan as sub-judge and Thakur was staying with him, he said to him, "Thakur, you will have to disclose your identity today. Tell me who you are." Thakur said, "What? I'm Haribol. What else?" But Vipin Babu would not leave him so easily. He continued to pester him with the question in different ways for 3 or 4 hours. But Thakur remained as reticent and secretive about his real self as ever. Then Vipin Babu went in. He came inside and he brought his revolver and pointing it towards himself said, "Look, Thakur, tell me at once who you are or I shoot myself and you commit the sin of causing the death of a Brahmin." Thakur could not afford to lose his dear disciple. He had to throw off the mask and reveal himself. He said, "Look, I am no other than Shanti Purnat Sri Advaitacharya." Vipin immediately fell at the feet of Thakur and said, "If you are Shanti Purnat, then say, I bless Vipin Chandra Chattopadhyaya the second son of Sri Shyamacharana Chattopadhyaya, so that he may soon attain the lotus feet of Gaura. So Thakur had to grant the prayer by threat of a gun. So, how much Thakur loved Vipin Chandra is evident from the following portion of his letter written to a devotee after his death. There is no one now with whom I can talk about Krishna. I traveled throughout India to find someone to whom I could open my heart and talk about Krishna. After ceaseless search, I found him. I could cool my heart suffering from the pangs of separation from Krishna only by talking to him. How could I live till now if I had not found him? The following are some of the Thakur's valuable sayings, called from some of his letters written to devotees. I am the breath of Gaurahari and nothing else. Gauranga Bhajana is of several kinds, but chanting aloud the name of the Lord is the best. There is only one boat to ferry you across the ocean, and that is the boat of faith. Bhakta is Bhagavan Vishesha, or special Bhagavan. No ashrama is better than Grihastha ashrama. It is good to remain in the household and do bhajana secretly. The mango, which is hidden among the leaves, ripens. The one that is exposed is beaked by birds and spoiled. My good lies in your devotion to the Lord, in nothing else. In word Haribol are included the names of Gaura, Gopi, Radha, and Shyam. To chant Haribol is to chant all these names. So Haribol Ananda Thakur had great love for Ramdas Babaji Maharaj. We remember him from a few stories before. So this is evident from the fact that immediately after he had left his body, he once came to Seal's lodge in Kalutola, where Ramdas lived. Outside the lodge, he saw Advaita Das Baba. He said to him, "Where is Ramdas?" Advaita Das replied, "He is in. I'm just going to call him." As soon as he went in, Thakur disappeared. When Ramdas came out, he began to weep not to see him. He understood that he had left his body and had come to let him know about the same, to let him know that he left his body. So beautiful. This was the story about Haribol Ananda. So next time, we will read about Sri Vipin Bihari Chattopadhyaya. So we will read about him. He was mentioned in the story now, and next time we will continue with his story. I hope you liked today's two stories about Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Haribol Ananda. So
thank you, Prabhu. Beautiful.
Thank you for listening.
Beautiful.
Yeah, we can always be inspired to hear these stories and to really see their devotion and their surrender. And again, I can mention from Bhaktivinoda Thakur that respect to everyone. Like in this story, last story, he was praying to no one else than Ma Kali. Huh? So we can ask everyone to help us, that we come closer to Radhika. That we are always, actually Radhika is always with us, we just need to turn our heads, but at least that we turn our heads towards her, so that we always see Radhika, that we are always with Radhika, that in our bhajan, that we can really immerse ourselves in Siddha Deha, so we can always pray for Kripa. Because as Gurudev said, Kripa is always coming, but we are sometimes holding the umbrella. So by praying for Kripa, we are actually closing the umbrella. So consciously, we are acting that our umbrella starts closing. And in some time, the umbrella will close totally. And the rain of Kripa will fall directly on our heads and our hearts. And that's what we want, to immerse ourselves in that Kripa. And as we read from all these Vaishnavas, that we come to that rivers of tears will flow from our eyes just by thinking about Radhika. That is what we want. So thank you everyone for listening. This is all for today. I hope you liked the stories.
Thank you, Prabhu. Radhe Radhe. Beautiful
Radhe.
story.
So now, soon we'll start Italian Sangha. So maybe somebody wants to share something more. We still have like 5 minutes. I liked the part what was said about Haribo, that inside there is the name Gora, also Gopi. Gopi with small letters, what means Gopis probably. Or maybe you can say Manjari. And also Radhe and Shyam, both in Haribo. So we can see how he was spreading the holy name everywhere. So beautiful. And actually, Mahabhava telling me, he was also Advaita Acharya by the story. Yeah? So it's interesting. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Radhe.
Radhe